Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Anti-government protest resumes in Suriname. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, April 19th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Riot police in Suriname have detained several individuals, including a trade union leader, during protests against the Desi Bouterse administration. At the fourth demonstration so far this month, the protesters chanting anti-government slogans called for Bouterse to resign, and they urged the country's leaders to stop what they call the policies of destruction. Reports from Paramaribo say the number of protesters this week is smaller than previous demonstrations, but they vow to keep up the pressure on the government until the recent increase in fuel prices is reversed. Shortly after demonstrators took to the streets on Tuesday, they were confronted by riot police, barring them from continuing the street march. Disgruntled participants sat on the road to protest against the barrier, but they got past the blockade and took an alternative route to continue their march. However, at a crucial traffic junction downtown, protesters were barred by police and eventually 3 individuals were arrested. The crowd subsequently dispersed, and after the protest ended, police also arrested the president of the Teachers Union after he delivered a speech calling on citizens to join fresh demonstrations on Wednesday. Over in St. Lucia, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet is moving to reassure public officers that his government has no plans of cutting their pay. Chastanet, who is Minister of the Public Service, also dismissed rumors of plans to cut the public service. The concerns come ahead of next month's budget presentation. We get more in this report from HTS News Force.
Prime Minister Alan Chastanet's statements come amid a rumor and speculation that the budget address slated in a few weeks will include a reduction in public servants' wages and a downsizing of the public service. Last week, the CSA president took to the media to address the speculation. Yvonne Edwin told News Force that the buzz remains just that, rumor. The bargaining body's president, while monitoring the developments, says talk of this nature always surfaces during the budget period. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Chastanet says it is not going to happen.
I thought her answer was very, very apropos. Is that she's not heard anything, she's not seen anything, and the reason why she's heard nothing or seen nothing is because there is nothing. I've repeatedly said that it's the intention of my government to help improve the productivity of the civil service, and that if there is going to be any downsizing of the civil service, it's going to come through attrition. So the first part is to create a process change, so that's what we call the re-engineering of the civil service, with the idea of maybe being able to get people to have higher salaries but less people, but it's going to be done through attrition. There's absolutely no proposal on the table that I know of, and I'm the Minister of Finance, to any pay cuts. It's not part of the proposal, has never been even considered to be part of the proposal.
A proposed 5% cut in public sector wages in 2014 by the Kenny Anthony-led administration is still fresh in the minds of St. Lucians. The leaking of the estimates resulted in a bitter battle between the government and the Civil Service Association, led by now Minister Mary Isaac. The Prime Minister disclosed that the estimates of expenditure will be presented in the latter part of April, and the budget debate will be held during the second week of May.
There are concerns in Jamaica about the infiltration of Chinese construction firms in the market for private jobs. The former president of the Incorporated Master Builder Association of Jamaica, Carvel Stewart, says Chinese firms have an unfair advantage seeking work in the private sector. Dashan Hendricks of TVJ News has the details.
They are here to do public work on projects such as the expansion of the Mandela Highway in St. Catherine and Marcus Garvey Drive in Kingston. On those projects, the Chinese came with the financing.
The Chinese entrance into our industry came with loans from China.
Carvel Stewart is the former president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, an association of operators in the construction trade. He says while his association welcomes the Chinese investments, they are worried that the terms and conditions under which the Chinese came to Jamaica are being used to undermine Jamaican operators in the construction sector.
The government, in seeking the loans and making the concessions, allowed three major things that are now being used in competition against the local contractors: duty and GCT entry of equipment and goods, and a concession of 50% of the labor that is engaged on the construction jobs that the Chinese are engaged on by the government.
And while he says he has his complaints about how the labor on the sites is apportioned,
there is nobody counting 50-50. And invariably, any quick glance at a Chinese project, you will see more Chinese on it than Jamaicans.
he has perhaps a bigger concern. Mr. Stewart says that the Chinese are extending themselves from public works, using the duty concessions given to bring in equipment and the price advantage it gives them to undercut bids on projects in the private sector by local construction firms, some by up to 30%. Jamaican companies which do not have the cost advantage are pushed out of the market.
They are now doing major construction for entities that are not associated with government, which normally would have been done by our local contractors.
The major participants in both the private sector and the public sector are Chinese.
A local contractor who declined to be interviewed said the situation is so bad he closed down the construction arm of his company because he couldn't compete with the Chinese. The new Foreign Affairs building in downtown Kingston is also being built by the Chinese, and they too will have a hand in the construction of the new Parliament building.
And staying in Jamaica, the main opposition, the People's National Party, is ridiculing the government's national security measures. Opposition spokesman on national security Peter Bunton has blasted National Security Minister Robert Montague for what he says are broken promises and poor handling of certain aspects of his portfolio. Bunton made the criticisms during his contribution to the sectoral debate in Parliament on Tuesday. He says Montague came into the job making several promises to the public, but none of them have been fulfilled. Bunton also questioned the procurement process for acquiring used cars for the police force.
Speaker, this huge purchase contract was granted to a dealer that I understand had not imported a single vehicle in the last 2 years, since March 2015. Yet the ministry has handed over 200 million to this entity as an advance or deposit. But my question is, were the financial statements of this entity assessed to determine its financial capability?
No.
The other question the minister will need to answer when he comes time to answer the questions is whether the Ministry of National Security has any fit and proper criteria that they apply when issuing a huge contract for over 400 million. I believe this used car procurement for the JCF will come to be known as the mother of all bandulu.
But the National Security Minister is defending his ministry's award of a contract valued at more than 400 million Jamaica dollars and allegations of irregularity by the opposition. And he's accusing Bunting of spreading fake news. Montague says the ministry followed proper procedure in awarding the contract. And he says he was not aware if there were any questions about fit and proper requirements for any person linked to the contract because he was not involved in the procurement process.
The integrity of the membership of the National Contracts Commission is above board. I understand that the Contractor General's Department have been asked to investigate. We would welcome that because we went right through, the thing was advertised. As is normal, there was an error in the first call, that's why the thing took so long, and we had to do over the ads because there was just a typo. But I said to the PS, let us be very safe. And the recommendations from our sector committee was not the recommendations the NCC recommended at the end of the day. So Mr. Bunting is actually trying to impugn motive and to accuse the NCC. And I will say to Brother Bunting, stop it.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, a security warning for Caribbean countries. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
The most anticipated musical experience returns. Join us throughout beautiful Tobago as we celebrate the universal language with performances by Grammy Award winner D'Angelo, legendary singer Grace Jones, Shabba Ranks, Morgan Heritage, Ellen Trotman Kess the Band, and many more. The 2017 Tobago Jazz Experience, April 22nd to 30th.
If you like dancing and whining and fretting till the morning, if you like drinking, masquerading, live music always playing, if you like islands of blue seas where people always smiling, if you like street jams and bandstands where people will be jamming, don't you miss this time, no. If it's not Drama 43, our festival, our legacy, don't you miss this time, no. If it's not Drama 43.
Welcome back. Caribbean countries are being encouraged to take the necessary precautions to ensure the safety and security of their citizens in the face of mounting threats at home and abroad. The advice came at Tuesday's launch of the 2017 Exercise Trade Winds, a regional military and disaster preparedness operation. Officials say the Caribbean remains vulnerable to new and emerging threats such as cybercrime, terrorism, and improvised explosive devices.
Any terrorist threat is a serious threat. That's a reality. Are we talking about specifically in terms of countries? It's different for every one of the countries. I don't know that we're going to get into the details on that, but the reality is we need to defeat the threat before it shows up. And that's what the point of this exercise is. It's a show of force. Let's not make any mistakes about this. This is an opportunity for the forces to practice, but it's also an opportunity to show anybody that's out there that is not well intended that the United States, with all its partners, are willing to protect our citizens.
As Guyana and Venezuela continue efforts to resolve the protracted border dispute, a near two-year-old suggestion by opposition leader Barra Jagdeo is being resurrected, and it appears to be causing just as much controversy as when it was first put forward. Critics say that Jagdeo's recommendation only served to strengthen Venezuela's resolve against its neighbor. We get the details from HGP Nightly News.
Leader of the opposition, Barra Jagdeo, in 2015 had said that he believed that there are other courses Guyana can take with regards to the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy to resolve the matter. But one view expressed by Mr. Jagdeo had raised some eyebrows. This was what he had to say in October 2015.
Let me say it as a view that you could probably on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area, but make sure that you do not concede any territory that is land-based.
Days after that statement by Mr. Jagdeo, Venezuela further denounced ExxonMobil drilling in the Essequibo River. But Mr. Jagdeo does not see any relationship between his statement and Venezuela's denunciation. In fact, he said Venezuela issuing a decree to Guyana is nothing new. But when pressed further by Nightly News about if his statement might have pushed Venezuela to issue that decree, Mr. Jagdeo responded.
I can't say what Venezuela will say. Venezuela, days after they came in, when the Minister of Foreign Affairs called the President of Venezuela monkey on our backs, was he not encouraging them to cancel the rice deal? How do you call the President of Suriname monkey on our backs? The rice deal got cancelled quickly. Was there a causal relationship?
The opposition leader said he does not play politics with border issues, but he fully supports the government's position on the issue. But Mr. Jagdeo also said this.
If APNU wants to make the border issue contentious, we can go down that route. I've chosen not to make it contentious because I can explore how they approach various border issues, from the New River Triangle to the Quarantine River, the maritime area offshore of Suriname, and the Venezuela issue.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Trinidad and Tobago to bid for the annual Character Games. Stay with us. There's sport after this break. Chat in CARICOM, a four-part series on the status of the regional integration process, beginning Tuesday, April 25th at 8 p.m. live on Carib Vision. Chat in CARICOM is your chance to get answers to questions about the integration process and how it affects you. Education, business, travel, entertainment. The series gives updates on recent CARICOM projects and assistance given by the European Union. Join the Caribbean community CARICOM and Carib Vision for the first Chat in CARICOM, Tuesday, April 25th at 8 p.m. The series comes to you with the assistance of the European Union. Chat in CARICOM, a community for all.
Picture this. Get away to one of the world's most beautiful islands to experience the Digicel Barbados Reggae Festival 2017. Four of the biggest reggae events, April 23rd to April 30th, featuring the biggest names in reggae. Popcon, Sprague Benz, Sanchez, Marcia Griffiths, Capleton, Conscience, Ventures, Flower Gun, Glen Washington, Cocoa Tea,
Won't you go home to your mama?
and many more. Purchase your event tickets from ticketpal.com. For more details, follow Barbados Reggae Festival on Facebook or Instagram. Barbados, always on.
The most anticipated musical experience returns. Join us throughout beautiful Tobago as we celebrate the universal language with performances by Grammy Award winner D'Angelo, legendary singer Grace Jones, Shabba Ranks, Morgan Heritage, Ellen Trotman Test the Band, and many more. The 2017 Tobago Jazz Experience, April 22nd to 30th.
We begin your midweek sport with athletics. The Trinidad and Tobago government plans to put forward a bid to host next year's Character Games. Sports Minister Darrell Smith made the announcement following his country's participation in the just concluded games in Curacao. We get more in this report from TV6.
It was a job well done by the Trinidad and Tobago athletes at the Character Games in Curacao. They returned home with 22 medals, 7 of which were gold, while 5 were silver and 10 were bronze. Even though it was a proud moment for team manager Dexter Voisin, he said this was just the start.
Carifta is just the first meet for 2017 in terms of the junior athletes. We have the Pan Am Juniors, we have the World Youth in Kenya. So we would imagine that from Carifta we will take this momentum on to greater things on the world stage.
And the sports minister, who was also pleased with the troops, had a big announcement to make to the athletics fraternity.
We have all these fantastic facilities that we have. And I want to let you know that I'm going to be pushing with entries to host the 20 2019 Carifta Games in Trinidad once again.
N3A's President Ephraim Surratt was relieved that the athletes brought home 8 more medals than they did last year at Carifta.
Last year was a sad year for us based on our performance. And I must say, when we look back at the decisions that we made last year, I think it speaks volume for this year. I think the athletes, the coaches, everybody went to work, understand what we were trying to do. And that's what you all need to do as athletes, try to prove us wrong.
Well, that report was from Vinod Nawani of TV6 Sports. Meanwhile, neighboring Grenada is hoping for a better showing next year after they finished 13th overall in the Carifta Games in Curacao. They picked up 2 medals this year, which is a huge drop from last year's outing when they took the 4th spot with a haul of 13 medals. And one official commented on the team's poor showing at Willemstad. But Grenada's performance this year, we apologize for not being able to bring you that insert, but we want to let you know that Grenada's performance this year was not all bad, since home girl Hayley Hazard brought home silver in the girls' 200-meter final. She finished behind Trinidadian Khalifa St. Fort in a time of 24.14 seconds, and this gave Grenadians something to smile about. Over now to cricket. Guyana Jaguars have been crowned regional 4-day champions for a 3rd straight year after crushing Windward Islands Volcanoes Monday by an innings and 122 runs in their final round game. The hosts needed just 55 deliveries and less than an hour to bundle out Volcanoes for 162 in their 2nd innings and wrap up victory inside 3 days at the Guyana National Stadium. With the win, Jaguars moved to an unsaleable 131.4 points with their rescheduled 9th round game against Leeward Islands Hurricanes still to be played this weekend. Meanwhile, not even a stunning half-century from rookie Fabian Allen could prevent Jamaica Scorpions from a sudden collapse as they crashed to a 26-run defeat to Barbados Pride in their final match at Kensington Oval on Tuesday. Allen, in only his 4th first-class game, smashed an entertaining 60 of 35 deliveries, and Test batsman Jermaine Blackwood chimed in with 44. Starting the final day at Kensington Oval on 114 for 1 in pursuit of 341 for victory, Scorpions were dismissed for 314 in the 2nd session after suffering a swift lower-order meltdown. Chadwick Wharton, unbeaten on 70 overnight, made 93, while Trevon Griffith, who started the day on 25, made 53. Scorpions reached the lunch on 241 for 5, with another 100 runs required in the final 2 sessions of the contest. But Test left-arm spinner Jomel Warrican claimed 5 for 70, that's for 87, and veteran spinner Solomon Ben picked up 3 for 90 as Scorpions lost their last 5 wickets for 73 runs. The defeat for Scorpions was their 5th of the campaign and their 4th in 5 outings in the latter half of the competition after leading at the mid-season break. Over at Warner Park, where Trinidad and Tobago Red Force ended an otherwise disappointing regional 4-day campaign on a high when they crushed Leeward Islands Hurricanes by an innings and 17 runs on Tuesday. They started the final day of their 10th round game at Warner Park, needing a huge effort to pull off victory. Red Force found their inspiration in leg spinner Imran Khan, who finished with match fixtures of 11 for 140. He failed to add to his overnight 5-wicket haul as Hurricanes resumed on 273 for 6. They were dismissed for 299. Seymour Russian Primus took 2 of the 4 wickets to finish with 2 for 62. Following on by 254 runs, Hurricanes were dismissed for 237 in their 2nd innings, with Khan proving TNT's trump card again with 6 for 74. Off spinner Brian Charles picked up 3 for 110. West Indies' latest baton recruit Shimron Hetmyer has hailed his outing in the 3-day tour game against Pakistan as a learning experience and an important boost to his career. The 20-year-old struck 97 in the contest at the Trelawney Multipurpose Stadium in Jamaica last weekend, a knock that helped him force his way into the 13-man squad for the opening test on Friday.
Going through my innings, I should take it a ball at a time and a session at a time as well. Just keep my eyes on the ball as much as possible and try to communicate as much to my other partner to find out what's going on and how this ball is going, how that ball is bowling, and just wait and choose and be more selective.
Hetmyer has been on the selectors' radar ever since he captained West Indies under-19s in their triumph at last year's Youth World Cup in Bangladesh. A naturally aggressive player at the top of the order, Hetmyer struck 11 fours and 2 sixes in a breezy 115-ball innings against the Pakistan attack. That included the likes of leg spinner Yasir Shah and pacer Mohammad Amri. He said the knock had been important since he failed to get a significant score in his previous first-class outing.
I just played to my strengths. That was mainly it. I just chose the ball that I could put away, and I think I did that well today. It's just with the ball that I got out with it. I don't think I could have really done that much, but then again, that's how cricket goes sometimes. It boosts me a lot because after coming out the last game we played in the last first-class game I played in Barbados, I didn't really get much. So I was just hoping to get some in this game, and I think that came off, and the most important thing, I helped my team to get in the position we are right now.
A groin injury has put Pakistan seamer Hassan Ali in doubt for the opening test of the 3-match series against West Indies, bowling off on Friday. The 23-year-old, who is yet to make his test debut, picked up the injury during last weekend's 3-day game against the WIC President's 11 and is yet to recover. The Pakistan Cricket Board said the player would undergo rehabilitation in an attempt to return to full fitness quickly. Ali was expected to be a shoe-in for the first test after impressive performances in the preceding limited overs series. He was especially outstanding in the opening one-dayer with a 5-wicket haul. The right-armer sent down 27 overs in the first innings of the tour, but did not bowl in the President 11's second innings. He has taken 29 wickets in 16 one-dayers and 10 wickets in 70 T20 internationals. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Welcome to Dominica, a true fantasy island. Whether you're in search of extreme adventure or a family vacation or a relaxing getaway, Dominica is fun for everyone. And a place where you can totally disconnect and enjoy paradise. Discover Dominica, the nature island.
Picture this. Get away to one of the world's most beautiful islands. To experience the Digicel Barbados Reggae Festival 2017. 4 of the biggest reggae events. April 23rd to April 30th. Featuring the biggest names in reggae. Popcon. Sprague Benz. Sanchez. Marcia Griffiths, Capleton. Conscience. Ventures, Flower Gun, Glen Washington, Cocoa Tea. Won't you go home to your mama? And many more. Purchase your event tickets from ticketpal.com. For more details, follow Barbados Reggae Festival on Facebook or Instagram. Barbados, always on.
Protesters in Suriname continue to demand the resignation of President Desi Bouterse. And in sport, Trinidad and Tobago to bid for next year's Character Games. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to ConnorNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a very good night.